Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Tokarski.
And I'm Megan McGurman. Welcome to For the Love of Health, brought to you by ChristianaCare.
It is Winter Olympics time again, and we know that you're sitting there on your couch with your bag of chips saying, hey, I could do that.
Okay, I'm personally not. I don't trust that I could do any of it,
Lies.
but I think a lot of people at home might be thinking, I could be the next gold medal bobsledder, maybe some cross-country skiing.
Or curling, maybe your speed.
Curling seems less risky.
Exactly.
Curling, we could do curling.
Exactly.
Regardless of which sport you have your eye on, or if you're just a regular outdoor weekend warrior, we've brought in sports medicine specialist Dr. Elizabeth Barchi to help you achieve your sports dreams. Elizabeth, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so we are recording this about halfway through the Olympic Games. The episode will air closer to the weekend of the closing ceremonies. What is your message to kick off this conversation to those who have been watching every night thinking, I could bobsled, I could ski down very scary mountains, and I may have never done it before, but how hard could it be?
I'm very impressed with the bravery of some people who would hurl themselves down a mountain. And I say more power to you. The most important thing to remember, though, is that all of these athletes, they started small. So the best figure skaters, they started just learning how to stand up in skates on the ice. They didn't start doing quadruple axels. The best skiers just learned how to stand up on skis and go forward instead of falling down. Day after day, what they did was they built on that foundation, that basic foundation, and they built those skills slowly over the course of, for some people, decades. And so if you're starting something new, I think that's amazing. I definitely encourage my patients to try new things to keep an active lifestyle. But the biggest thing that we talk about is making sure you start small, start foundational, and really pay attention to your form and pay attention to your technique. And that's how you're going to keep yourself safe. That's also how you're going to get to be really good at whatever new sport or activity you want to try. That's how you're going to get really good a lot faster than trying to rush through and get to the end product.
As Megan said to begin with here, we're looking at it and saying, well, I can certainly do that. And there's a little bit of the, oh, I'm suddenly an expert on this. So I can do a triple axel, whatever. That was not so good. I know what a good one is now. Let's look at what you just said from that perspective and from your sports medicine background. Get into some of those specifics about the skills and the training that these people are going through that makes it much harder than it looks to us when we're watching it on TV.
That's because making it look easy is the hardest part, and it's the last thing that comes. And so take something like a quadruple axel. To make that look effortless, it takes an immense amount of power and strength off of your supporting leg. Because if you try to jump up in the air as high as possible, what happens? You raise your shoulders, you make a funny face, and a lot of things make you look like you're really putting in a lot of effort. And so that's the most important thing to remember, is that these athletes are training so hard just to make it look effortless. That's the final step in when they have achieved mastery. The other thing to remember is that they're spending hours and hours a day, day in, day out, week after week, through illness, through injury, through setbacks, through losses. They just keep going. It's a way of life for them. And they built that very slowly. And so that's why they can make it look effortless under pressure, because they've done so much work to work on their nerves and their self to be able to perform under pressure. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the ages of these athletes. My husband points this out to me to make me feel better. He's a great husband. But if you've been looking at the ages, there's a lot of athletes in their 30s and 40s who are dominating many different disciplines.
Not just curling now.
Not just curling, right. Not just curling, not just ice dancing, and not just the endurance sports. We see that a lot with endurance sports is as you get older, you actually are able to build on those adaptations. And we're starting to see it takes time to build those adaptations. But even things like the half pipe, we've got 30-year-olds holding their own up there. It is great. And so, with those athletes, what's really special about them is that they have children, they have lives, they have families and responsibilities outside of their training. So they have so much mental toughness and mental grit to be able to get through those questions of what am I doing anymore? What am I doing with my life? Why am I still here? I could be home with my family. I could be doing any other thing besides this. And yet here I am continuing to go. And they're balancing those questions with this drive and that realization that they only have so much time left in their sport. I think that's one of the things that probably drives people like Lindsey Vonn to keep going. She had a joint replacement, a knee replacement at age 39.
Mm-hmm.
The average is in your ideally late 60s, early 70s at the earliest.
Wow.
Because those implants, sometimes they don't last as long. They only last maybe 20 years. And so if you get it really young,
she's going to have another one.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Speaking of Lindsey Vonn, we'll transition into injuries. A devastating injury for Lindsey. So many other athletes, Chloe Kim being injured leading up to the Olympics, still getting on the podium. In your professional opinion, so many injuries, is that just to be expected?
In some respects, yes, injuries go with the territory with sports. One thing to remember, though, is that these athletes are at the highest level and they are sacrificing themselves for a moment in time. So they have the Olympics, they have World Cup, they have one moment that they're willing to sacrifice their long-term health to be able to do at their best. That's not the rest of us. We have our lives to think about, and we have real responsibilities that we need our knees for, and our ribs and our shoulders, and they will live a life, the denouement of their career will be marked by physical therapy and surgeries and injections and just general stiffness from old injuries, and they're going to carry that forward. And that's a sacrifice that they're willing to make. For the average person like you and me, I would not recommend those sacrifices. I would recommend focusing on joy in fitness and movement. Motion is lotion for the joints. And so whatever makes you happy is going to help keep you healthy.
What are the most common injuries you're seeing at your practice?
I typically see weekend warrior type injuries. So we're all very busy, and a lot of my patients are trying to do the best they can to stay active, and that's amazing. But what that means is sometimes they don't always have the foundation of the fitness to do what they need to do, what they're trying to do over the weekend. And so I see a lot of overuse. So things like rotator cuff tendinitis, elbow tendinitis, knee tendinitis, or just plain knee flares. If they have a little bit of early degeneration starting, that can flare, similar to biting your lip. And so it's really more of they just overdo it. They see the line in the rearview mirror, and then they call me.
As we can tell by the Lindsey Vonns and Chloe Kims, even these people who have been going through all the proper training and foundation are sometimes still getting hurt. It's just the way that it goes. So let's say you're going down that path, you're training for something, maybe a 5K, and you do still manage to get hurt. Are you done until it heals, or what can you do to keep that process going while you're letting that injury heal?
This is a great question. I actually, with all athletes, I try never to pull them completely from their sport. I try to keep them doing something. So take your patient who got injured, say they got a tendinitis in their knee and they're training for a 5K. That's fine. We'll have them in physical therapy, working on strengthening, working on form. For the cardio fitness, we're going to figure out what cardio doesn't hurt that knee. It might be swimming, it might be rowing, it might be the elliptical. We'll do something. The reason why is once you get into the habit of exercise, it's easy. You keep going, it's part of your lifestyle. Once you break that habit, it is so hard to get started again. It's really difficult to rebuild those habits, especially the ones that take a lot of effort, especially when you just don't feel like it, like during the winter months when it's cold and it's dark and you're tired. So as much as possible, we try to keep our athletes, whether they're professional, amateur, or recreational, or they just started exercising because somebody told them that motion is lotion for the joints. We try to keep them moving in some way consistently so that they can maintain that habit and continue that active lifestyle.
All right, so we've been focusing on what to do in advance to make sure that you don't hurt yourself, that you get that foundation that you need to be able to do those activities that you're looking forward to. Let's say you didn't pay attention to that as well as you should have, and now you've got a little something that you're going to have to deal with, or you know that that's probably your way. Maybe you're a little klutzy, you're not the most balanced. What should you be doing to make sure that you don't end up in the blooper reels that people are coming across on Instagram? Or what do you need to do after the fact? What's the best way to deal with that sore knee or that sore elbow from that overuse?
Well, to begin with, maybe not film it.
Valid. You can't be a blooper reel if no one knows it happened.
If no one knows it happened.
Unless that's your goal. I mean,
Yeah,
we're not judging. We're not
Yeah.
judging.
Well, if it is, then that would be very helpful for me because you can show me the video of the injury and
right.
that'll help me understand what happened.
That much easier
There
to
we
do the
go.
diagnosis and the help.
If you're doing a backyard bobsled this weekend, set up the camera just in case.
Just in case. And then afterwards, give me a call. We'll take a look at the, post footage.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, common sense is really important. Look at your surroundings. Make sure when you do go bobsledding in your backyard, you're not going to run into a pond or a fence or something where you can get seriously injured. Making sure that if you do happen to get injured, if it's something serious where you can't walk afterwards, you're going to need to go to an urgent care to get x-rays right away. If nobody's around to drive you, please call 911. Don't try to drive yourself. Just get yourself somewhere where you can get immediately evaluated. If you don't have a bone sticking out of your leg and you can walk, albeit sorely, then the next best thing is to start with icing the injury immediately. Ice it for about 20 minutes immediately after injury, and then give our office a call and we'll get you in as soon as possible so that we can get x-rays. Ideally, we're getting you in within a week. Because the earlier we start on the rehabilitation, the sooner we can get you back to your next Olympic sport. The other thing that you can do is you can always take some anti-inflammatories if you're able to. If you don't have any medical conditions that prohibit taking anti-inflammatories, you can take that too. But most importantly, immediately start icing and then give us a call.
What about people who have kids and you decide you want to do ice hockey in your living room? How do you make that safe? What is kind of your recommendation for making sure you don't end up with a child with a broken arm, leg, etc.?
Well, that's part of childhood, I think. Do your best. Look at the surroundings. Make sure nobody's jumping off huge ledges or anything like that. Get sharp corners, like coffee table corners. Clear those out of the way. Make sure everything's soft so that if you do fall, which happens, that you're not hitting your head, hitting your eye. And then just try to keep everyone from getting a little too carried away, which good luck with that one. But as best as you can, keep everyone focused on the goal, the game, rather than getting silly and getting into, look what I can do, or let me go tackle you now.
Which is a bit of a problem if what you're going for is the bobsled, so you're in the laundry basket going down the stairs.
No laundry baskets on the stairs. Elizabeth says no, Jason.
Please. Those injuries can be gnarly because first you have the concussion and then you have the neck injury. And the two of them, they like to instigate each other.
Absolutely. Elizabeth, obviously the Olympic Games are wrapping up, but it will be spring soon and then summer, and we run into, all of the sports that everyone will be working on. So what is your closing message to those weekend warriors about what they should be focusing on now?
Keep moving. Don't give up. You can continue to be active even as you're getting older. You can continue to try new sports and learn new things. Make sure that you're building a foundation of fitness. So focus on getting your cardio in, whether that's elliptical, biking, swimming, walking. Make sure you have some sort of cardiovascular foundation to your new endeavor. Make sure you're focusing on form. Make sure you're getting that strength training in. So say if you're playing a racket sport, that you have the upper body strength so that not everything is going straight to your poor little elbow. And make sure that you're working with someone who can look at your form and say, hey, you're diving for that ball in a really strange way, or your knees going sideways as you're stepping down, you might want to think about that. And if you're concerned, you can always give us a call. We can always see you, have you work with a physical therapist to be able to improve upon your form so that you don't actually end up getting injured and you're able to build your technique over time and be really successful in whatever new sport activity you feel like doing. It's never too late to start. We have people who will start point work at age 70. They'll pick up running. They can do anything. You can do anything that you set your mind to. Just start low and take it slow. Start with a good foundation and slowly build on that. Remember, all of these athletes have been working their entire lives for these moments. And for some people, that's decades. And so we're no different from that. And so it'll take time.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for all of your insight. I personally am very terrified of pretty much every Winter Olympic sport, so I will not be doing it. Jason, a reminder, no bobsledding down your stairs in your laundry basket this weekend.
Fine. Jeez.
Or maybe you'll be Elizabeth's new patient. We will get back to you. We'll report
it
back.
if I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Check out the show notes for this episode for more information on ChristianaCare Sports Medicine.
You can always follow For the Love of Health on your favorite social media platform. Just search for ChristianaCare.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with another great conversation.
Until then, thanks again for joining us.
For the love of health.